Don't forget to follow us on social media for beautiful food and inspiration.
See the same people every other day, but we never say hey, cause we're never looking the way, or my face was in my notebook. We passed each other, didn't look. But these are the people of the towns, of the towns, the towns, of the towns. And large cities are just a bunch of big small towns, big small towns, overlapping side by side, big small towns. I see new people every day. Everyone's on their way, doing the things that fill their day. And I'm going places too, doing the things that I do with my time. We are the people of the towns, of the towns, the towns, of the towns. And large cities are just a bunch of big small towns, big small towns, diagonal, top to bottom, big small towns. Be nice to the people of the towns. Once in a while look around, cause what's going around's coming around. What came around's coming around. What's going around's coming around. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns.
Hey everybody, welcome to Downballot. We do the show live every Tuesday, almost every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Sometimes we simulcast to other places, and then sometimes shitty organizations like Jubilee files copyright claims against us for running commentary on some content that they put up that we found interesting, which is fucking fantastic. If you want to support this project, you can go ahead and go to echoplexmedia.com, click the support link at the top of the page, find your favorite way to support the project. We do have new merch. Because Easter falls on 4/20, we have a Zombie Jesus Easter Bunny merch. You can find that right at the top at eplex.store. And of course, patreon.com/echoplex or eplex.store. Memberships at $5 or higher, you get the entire audio and video recording of Downballot and all of our other podcasts, including Red Light, sent to your inbox a day before they come out on the podcast apps. So that's some good stuff. The councilman showed up on the call and then disappeared from the call and hasn't come back. The show must go on, and there might be internet problems, power outage, fucking the bad baby burned the house down. Any number of things could happen. Maybe we'll get the councilman back on here. Maybe we won't. Who knows what happened? The councilman's a great co-host, and I presume that the councilman did not intend on dropping the call. So we're just going to get going here with what we have for leading off. We've been covering the story of the San Mateo County Sheriff. There's some scandal around a relationship with one of her employees. No allegations of any sexual assault or any violations of consent there. And then other allegations that there is they call it a hostile work environment. And the saga continues. At the beginning, I was like, they should probably get rid of her. And the councilman and I have kind of come like full circle on this, actually, kind of wondering what's really going on here, because there's no like uproar in the community really. And it doesn't seem like anybody in San Mateo County, any of the residents really care that much about this, whatever this is. There's been no attempt to recall the sheriff. And, so I figure like this is what elections are for, and maybe they just elect somebody else next time. Anyway, here's a hit on the current state of affairs from KTVU Fox 2 Bay Area.
Jesse Gary has more tonight on what happens next.
The county will implement clear procedures to ensure a public, impartial, and lawful process.
Wednesday, 2 county supervisors giving brief statements of what comes next in the months-long saga to remove San Mateo County Sheriff Christina Corpus.
The services of the Sheriff's Office will continue uninterrupted throughout this process.
Early special election results indicate Measure A passed overwhelmingly. The new amended county charter, Section 412.5, gives supervisors with 4/5 vote temporary power to remove a sitting sheriff for cause. Reasons include flagrant negligence of duty, misappropriation of public funds, willful falsification of documents, and obstruction of an investigation.
It's kind of a new norm that people who lose are unhappy with that decision, and instead of just conceding and walking away into the sunset, they file legal challenges.
For her part, Corpus was hidden away Wednesday in her 5th floor office. She sent
hidden away. Wait, what if she was working? What do you mean hidden away? That's her office? She's not hiding. What do you mean hidden away in her office? Motherfucker, that's where she's supposed to be. The fuck, KTVU?
Passage of Measure A that reads in part, I now have the opportunity to appropriately challenge and disprove the allegations against me and my administration. I will not resign. A 400-page report by retired Superior Court Judge Lodoris Cordell last November found evidence Corpus abused her power as sheriff.
Well, there was no type of evidentiary hearing previously. Now we get the opportunity to show that the investigation was flawed. We see errors in that report, in my opinion, and those are errors that can be challenged now in an evidentiary hearing in front of an unbiased panel.
The report served as fuel for a full-blown movement to oust the sheriff.
Install an independent civilian oversight commission with an inspector general's office. This community deserves transparency. So when the new administration comes in, things are in place and we can go forward without any fear of this repeating itself.
Supervisors say election results will be certified by the state April 3rd. The issue of crafting ground rules for a hearing to remove the sheriff would take place at the board's April 8th meeting.
San Mateo County voters continue to make educated decisions and trust the Board of Supervisors to uphold accountability.
It's still unclear when the removal hearing and vote will happen because the sheriff's legal team could file suit, slowing the process. Corpus wrote on Wednesday she's as proud as ever to put on her sheriff's uniform and says she will continue working for the citizens of San Mateo County. In Redwood City, Jesse Gary, KTVU Fox 2 News.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't like the idea that, like, first of all, they're like, oh, the citizens overwhelmingly approved it. I want to know what the turnout was. Like, this was an election in, like, March, a special election in San Mateo County in March. I'm fucking the turnout. I mean, it had to be abysmal, right? We're probably sub 25% of registered voters turned out. It was only going to be the people who were I suppose, like animated about this or who are interested in this. I don't know about this because this is an elected position. And the thing is, it would be one thing if they had like adjusted the city charter to make it so via 4/5 vote, the Board of Supervisors could remove a sitting sheriff. But they just made it temporary. They just did it so that they could remove this sheriff. That's fucking crazy. That makes it sound to me like they just don't like her, right? That the fucking whoever put this out there just doesn't like her. That it doesn't really have to do with whether or not the Board of Supervisors should be able to remove the sheriff. It's that they don't like her. That doesn't sound right at all. Because she was elected. I don't like this. Oh, this is bullshit. This sounds like some bullshit to me. She might very well have done these things that they're accusing her of, but like this is like the way they're doing this just seems gross. It seems like it's just the wrong way to go about it. I don't know. We're definitely keeping an eye on this. I'm not sure if they're even going to be able to remove her. 4/5, I don't know. 4/5 of the board want to remove her. Why not just make it unanimous? And then why not make it permanent? This is all crazy. Speaking of crazy, we're going to move on to Downballot / recall watch. Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao was recalled recently. And because things are just getting crazier and crazier in this country and I suppose in the Bay Area, 2 men have been arrested after allegedly trying to kill possible witnesses in the Sheng Tao corruption case. Fucking yikes.
And 2 men have been arrested. They are accused of trying to kill a possible witness in the corruption case involving former Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao. According to the Chronicle, the men shot at Mario Juarez back in June but did not hit him. But that was a few days before the FBI raided the homes of Tao and the Duong family. Oakland police have not said if that attempted killing was related to Juarez's involvement in the case. But according to the paper, federal documents suggest that the shooting and the FBI investigation are connected.
Oh my God, fucking, this is like fucking mob shit, man. This is like fucking, oh yeah, you're going to testify? Well, we're going to whack you. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, come on. We can't just keep going down. We can't keep doing this stuff. This is new. We haven't seen a whole lot of this, but this sounds like, it's not witness tampering is when you try to tamper with the witness, not when you try to kill them. I guess trying to kill somebody is a form of tampering, but like, I don't know. Maybe it's unrelated, but I don't know. Why would the FBI say that it appears to be related or whatever? This is another. I guess we're keeping an eye on this too. I don't know. There's a lot of shit to keep an eye on now. There's a lot of fucking story arcs happening in Downballot. Well, there's one of those things that's where there's always story arcs in people's local communities and stuff, but they're not like this usually. This stuff is fucking crazy. Meanwhile, I'm not even sure who. Lauren Taylor. Lauren Taylor is running for Oakland mayor after Sheng Tao was recalled. And here's a campaign ad about how I guess we don't have time for Barbara Lee.
Oakland is broken, and we need someone who can come in on day one, know what's working, what's not working, and how to fix it.
The first thing I plan to do is bring people together and say, let me hear what you think your priorities are. Can we do public safety with people doing the administrative work? I don't know. Where is waste occurring? I don't know. I've never worked in City Hall. I've never worked there.
Oakland doesn't have time for someone who does not know city government. Vote for me, Lauren Taylor, on April 15th.
Oh, welcome back, Councilman. Oh, it helps if I turn you on. There you go. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me here. Many apologies and a big whoops to AT&T for the internet outage right when the theme song for Downballot kicked in. So great to see you and glad to see that we're already well into the docket here and you're digging right in. So happy to be here.
What do you mean we don't have that ad was stupid though. We don't have time. Like, what do you mean we don't have time? It's just somebody running for office. That's what the election is for. We totally have time for that. It's part of the election. What the fuck is that ad? That's a hella dumb ad, right?
Yeah, the ad jumps into an old, meme or theme, I guess, of elections, or an old talking point of, well, I'm more qualified than the next person because I'm ready from day one, right? To get started, I'm ready to dig in. I know all the things that happen. I know the job. I know all the people involved. I've been there. I have the experience, so I can jump in and on day one be effective. And you hear that, even up to presidential campaigns, right? You heard that with Hillary Clinton a lot. You heard it a lot with Democrats. Like, I'm very qualified. I could do this job from day one. No one gives a shit if you're qualified, bro. And it goes all the way down to the local level too, where folks try to make a case like, well, I'm prepared to take this job from day one, and the other person isn't because they're whatever, not engaged and not from here or whatever. Basically, she's trying to otherize Barbara Lee. Because she's well ahead, I'm sure, in the polls. I'm sure she has more money than anyone else. I'm sure she has more backing and institutional support than anyone else. And she's the front runner. So he's doing what, the person who's not the front runner needs to do, and try to take the front runner down a peg or two, and using this theme as an opportunity to do that, right? And there's some unfortunate clips of Barbara Lee, saying things that are really, if you take them out of, put them in context, are pretty, standard things that politicians say and candidates say. I want to sit down with everybody in the first 100 days and have a conversation about where we're headed and where they think we're at, right? And then before I make any decisions about major sweeping changes, right? People say that all the time. I'm sure Lauren Taylor himself has said those things, but he's using clips of Barbara Lee saying it, and maybe not, appearing in the best light or whatever, metaphorically speaking, of course, to further his campaign. But again, this is a non-front runner trying to basically attack the front runner, which that's pretty standard politics, and the argument is also pretty standard, and it doesn't really hold a lot of weight because no one's ready from day one. Nobody for a new job. Nobody, no matter what the job is. I'm not right. I'm sure there have been jobs, and any job you've had, producer Dave, I'm sure day one you didn't know all the things, right?
I knew how to be a shitty podcaster from the beginning.
But even here, right? You've over the years, right, massaged and developed your technique and your style and your technology, right? So you've learned new things about doing the thing, right? So yeah, no one's ready for anything from day one. So it's a tired old meme. So that's why I wanted to highlight it.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of suck for this guy, who I think is probably, like, based on what I know, probably the right person for the job, that somebody came with like a big profile and bigfooted him. But I think, like, if he just says that, he's like, hey, I've been working for Oakland for a long time here. I think that I'm the right person for the job. And I just feel like this person with a much bigger platform than me just coming in and trying to bigfoot me. I think that's a way better way to do it because it's just honest.
Yeah, I don't know why maybe he doesn't go all full Nelson there. That's certainly what he's getting at with this ad. But again, you're right. It doesn't hit that point really directly. And maybe he feels like if he did, it would be, he'd be going too far. My thing is, like, if you're going to attack Barbara Lee, like, go for it. Like, what are you playing around for? Yeah, just make your point. And again, Lauren Taylor was, just for a little context, ran against Sheng Tao in the last election, and was defeated in ranked choice. The ranked choice voting counts pretty much did him in. So there's been a lot of blame going around that ranked choice led to Sheng Tao winning, and led to previous mayors in Oakland winning, and it's a pretty common rhetoric in Oakland that someone didn't get their fair shake because ranked choice voting is somehow unfair, even though it's, frankly speaking, quite a bit more fair if you leverage it correctly.
Well, just so people know, during public comment, actually, we're going to watch the Oakland mayor debate, or at least some of it.
Sweet. I didn't have time for it on the docket this week, or we didn't have time, if I should say, on the docket for it this week, because we have a lot going on. But yeah, I'm glad you're going to be looking at that.
I figure there'll be audience questions, so that counts as public comment, right?
Right, absolutely, and there'll be more time to explore that in the weeks ahead as we lead up to the election.
Very nice. So, speaking of people being removed from office under yikes circumstances, what do we got next?
Yeah, well, not without going into the whys. District 3 in San Jose, which is the primarily downtown Japantown, the core city district, is without a council member right now. Well, they have a temporary council member holding the seat until the election is done, but that's what's happening right now. There's a special election coming up on April 8th. And ABC7 took a look at the candidates that have thrown their hat into the ring. And as we've discussed, this is pretty much the extent of the coverage you're going to get of this election that everyone thinks is going to be, the hot ticket.
The Bay Area has another special election coming up in a little more than a month. It's the race to replace former San Jose City Council member Omar Torres, who resigned amid molestation charges last fall. ABC 7 News reporter Lauren Martinez breaks down who's running and what residents say they want to see.
7 candidates are running to represent the heart of San Jose, the businesses and neighborhoods that make up downtown. Ruth Herrera runs one of those businesses, an eco-friendly store.
Even the days when I close at 4:30, I usually stay past 4:30 till like 7, 8, or 9.
As a small business owner doing it all herself, she hopes whoever will represent people working and living in downtown has some business background.
If they could have some knowledge, would be preferred, because they would understand the struggle that is having a business.
The District 3 seat was once held by Omar Torres, who is currently in custody. On April 8th, only people who live in D3 will get to vote in the special election.
Public safety, the homelessness issue.
Jeff Levine is with the Roosevelt Neighborhood Park Association. With roughly 100,000 residents in downtown, Levine says it's imperative people vote.
So it's up to us to get involved, even if people haven't been involved that much in the past. Now's the time to do it because it can really impact your day-to-day life.
The candidates include Gabby Chavez Lopez, a nonprofit executive and community advocate, Philip Dolan, a salesman, Adam Duran, retired lieutenant with the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office, Matthew Quevedo, deputy chief of staff for Mayor Matt Mahan. Irene Smith, who ran against Omar Torres in 2022, is an attorney and pro tem judge. Anthony Tordios is the city's planning commission chair. And Tyrone Wade, a former counselor who unsuccessfully ran for mayor multiple times.
Homelessness and public safety.
D3 resident Richard Ajulani wants a candidate who has lived in the district for a long time.
Who understands the needs, who's been a community member, a spouse, a partner, a parent, whatever, somebody who's lived in the district for a long time, not somebody who moved here 15 minutes ago because they saw an opportunity to run.
If no candidate receives a majority vote, the 2 highest vote getters will then face off in a runoff election. In downtown San Jose, Lauren Martinez, ABC 7 News.
Ooh, sounds like a fucking good candidate for ranked choice voting, because we don't need 2 fucking elections here. And it sounds like we're probably going to get it just because, I don't think anybody's going to have the name recognition or the money or anything actually to get 50% plus 1, essentially.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, once you start to add candidates into the mix, and these candidates have their own money and resources and are able to build up their own name ID, the numbers alone, right? The math just becomes very difficult to figure out anyone getting that 50 plus 1 number. So yeah, you're going to have a runoff. And sure enough, one of the council members who is big proponent of ranked choice voting and was very butthurt that the council decided to scrap it as an idea a couple years ago when they were hyping it, made a big point when the conversation came up about whether or not to do an appointment for this seat or to do a special election or to do both, right? Or to hold the special election at all. And the cost came up, right? He took a opportunity to take a point of personal privilege to really beef it up about how, we missed our opportunity to have ranked choice voting. And if we had, we'd only have 1 election. It would be done on April 8th and we'd know who the next council member was. And that person could even take office before the budget cycle works itself out this year, whereas right now we're looking at, if in the likelihood of a runoff, that's a June election, and then the council member takes office in August. So it's past the budget cycle. So there's a lot of big decisions that are happening that, like Mr. Levine said from the Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association, these are decisions that impact people's daily lives. The potholes, public safety in parks, and these sort of core issues that they call them, front porch issues, the things you can see from your front porch. And voters tend to be the ones that have front porches. Not all of us do. You're not getting a whole lot of information here, but what we can tell you for certain is who we don't want to see. And that's Mayor Ed 209 B or something. I don't know. I don't know what you'd call him, but Mayor Mahan's staff basically ascending to the role of council member obviously gives him one more locked in rubber stamp vote for his agenda. But what does that mean for the city, and what does that mean for where we're headed? I don't know.
I literally don't know any of these fucking people. Is there anybody you like that's running? Anybody you're not endorsing, but is there anybody you generally like and think would do a good job that you saw up there?
I'm 100% not endorsing. So if anyone who knows me is watching, I'm not endorsing in this race. But there are at least two candidates who I'm particularly fond of, who I would be perfectly content with being the council member. One of them is Gabi Chavez Lopez. I've known her for 15 years, longer than most folks in the local political scene. So it shows that she has staying power, and this is the first time she's stepped out and tried to run. So I've really valued that she's taken her time and thought about this a lot, and looked at this as sort of a part of her track. So really excited to see her running. She's a nonprofit director, and I think that anyone that's worked in the nonprofit sector and has had to run a nonprofit knows the most important thing you need to know when you go into local government, and that's that everyone matters, everyone's opinion matters, and every dollar matters, right? So you can absolutely count on her to be compassionate, but also a fiscal hawk, because that's just how you have to be in the nonprofit world. And then Anthony Tordios, he's the current Planning Commission chair, so I have a special place in my heart for the Planning Commission and for planning issues, because that's a lot of what the City Council works on is land use. He's really incredibly sharp, incredibly qualified, works in tech, and has contributed quite a bit of his own money to the race, for whatever you want to say about that. But I think that he and Gabby both represent, I think, the values that this show likes to espouse. Whether or not they're really going to be able to compete with, the mayor's friend in terms of fundraising and name ID, it's yet to be seen. The dark horse really is Irene Smith. She ran, as folks, fans of the show will remember, ran for District 3 against Omar Torres in the runoff back in 2022. So she actually has the most recent experience actually getting out there and building her name ID. And according to everything we've heard, she's tops of the polls right now for that very reason, because she's the last person who's really been out there and active and had a campaign that made people, because as we talk about a lot, right, about with local elections and down ballot races, it is really an awareness issue in a lot of ways. And you have like a 6-month startup campaign basically to build awareness of your brand, right, and your product that you're trying to get people to buy in advance of this one, public on sale date, the election date, right? So if you want to look at it from a business perspective, that's what it is. That's a Silicon Valley perspective on elections. It's a startup, and you're trying to build brand awareness and seal the whole deal in 6 months, whereas normally like a startup, right, has a ramp up of years and years of investment before they go public, and then or before they start to sell product, right, and make and return investment. You have to do all of that on a campaign in 6 months, basically. And here it's even shorter because they called the election in January and the vote is in April, right? So it's really a 3-month process to try and get as many people as possible to buy into you and then actually go and do this voting thing. Even though it's mailed to them, it's in their, it's on their mantle or their table or their whatever, their coffee stand. They're waiting for them to do it, but getting them to do it and getting them to buy into you as a reason to do it are really steep propositions, which is why I'm not expecting this to be a very high turnout election. But anyway, that's my read on it. So I think Irene could be the dark horse, and I think that the mayor's friend has a lot of money, and you could see the two of them in a runoff, and our friends get shut out. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I have my popcorn ready. And
we have a question from chat. Has Labor gotten behind anybody in this yet?
They have. Gabby is Labor's endorsed candidate. A lot of that has to do, not in this particular case. I don't want to say anything about Gabby at all. This is more in a general sense. It happened to me too. It's about relationships, and it's about who you know and what kind of relationships you've built. And she has built the relationship. She knows all the folks involved in those decisions. Whereas Anthony is younger, but not necessarily younger, just less experienced in this scene. So he does not have those relationships. He was able to keep the Democratic Party neutral pretty much between the two of them. and do a dual endorsement. So he does have some clout, especially amongst younger Democrats and younger folks in the labor Democratic circles. But Gabby was able to bring home most of the labor support, so she'll be getting their backing, and they already is getting their backing.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to San Francisco, where I have some thoughts, actually, just about more broadly about this seat and the person occupying it, and maybe how many fucking election cycles ago they should have said bye and taken the bag, you know?
Yeah, this is one of those things where I vacillate, and we'll learn more about it in the clip. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. It's one of those situations where why are you not already out, and why are we not having a serious conversation about someone to replace you and not entertaining these kind of, well, let's just find out more.
A new challenger that happens to say that congressional leaders were paralyzed and unprepared for the second Trump presidency. So we're talking about Soikat Chakrabarti, recently announced his candidacy, determined to unseat Nancy Pelosi. Kenny Choi takes a closer look at the inner workings of his campaign launch and why the self-made tech centimillionaire is entering the race.
Soikat Chakrabarti is gunning for Nancy Pelosi's congressional seat.
It's an instinct. I think we're in a moment where it could happen. How about Grace? I'll go to you next.
In the early stages of his campaign, instead of door-knocking first, a concerted effort to host online meetings.
I feel the Democratic Party is basically broken.
With a handful of voters who sign up on his website to join and ask questions.
I'm going to find every way I can to talk to everybody that I possibly can in San Francisco and get my message to them directly.
In 2018, the former software engineer who left Wall Street and Silicon Valley success spearheaded a political action committee to bring new voices to Washington.
Both parties have been ignoring kind of the biggest problems facing most people.
That includes cost of living and economic opportunities. He recruited and guided Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to unseat longtime incumbent and high-ranking Democratic Congressman Joe Crowley of New York.
If that could happen then in that lower change environment, what could happen right now?
Chakrabarti says Pelosi and Democratic leaders were paralyzed and unprepared to take on Trump and Elon Musk. He says a transformation of the party begins with her seat.
I've got a lot of respect for a lot of what Nancy Pelosi's accomplished in her time in Congress, but I just think we're in a different era now.
David McEwen is a political science professor at Sonoma State University.
The progressives have always been disappointed in Nancy Pelosi. They'll continue to be disappointed with Nancy Pelosi. But the progressive left senses an opportunity to push the moment of generational change.
Change that McEwen says leaves the future uncertain for Democrats.
There is this moment and this attempt to move the party to the left when there's a lot of people, a lot of polling, a lot of data, a lot of analysts looking at this and saying, what was the message for Democrats out of November? And that question has not been resolved.
Chakrabarti believes Pelosi,
that's because there wasn't one,
for 37 years is out of touch.
I'm not sure she realizes the level to which the average person, or even most people in this country and in San Francisco, are really feeling the squeeze of just how expensive these big essentials have gotten.
We reached out to Pelosi's office but did not get a response seeking comment.
To really rebuild this party, we needed whole new generation of leaders who are committed to this kind of a vision of really going out there and first admitting that there's a problem, which I think the party often doesn't admit at all.
For now, it starts with convincing one voter at a time, hoping that leads to a massive grassroots movement.
Chakrabarti plans to fund part of his campaign with his own money. He currently runs a policy think tank that develops comprehensive solutions to the problems that both America and San Francisco face. He's the son of immigrants who attended public schools in Texas and then graduated from Harvard University. He then catapulted onto the political stage, working for Bernie Sanders' 2016 presidential run.
Not bad bona fides. Probably not so super keen on the fact that they called him a centimillionaire. Like, dude, just say the dude's rich as fuck and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, what does that mean? I'm sorry,
$100
I'm not a math person. Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. Well, good on him. That's great.
It's like a centenarian would be his opponent. Hundreds of years.
So so he can claim that he can't be bought by anyone except for himself. So there's that. But then look at Elon Musk. So that's a great example. I think Elon's kid should be the president. Actually, that kid knows more than any of us put together. So yeah, this is very interesting. I wish him all the best. While I am a fan of former Speaker Pelosi. I'm very a big fan of her.
I liked her first few albums.
Yeah, I think that her
old stuff was better.
Her old, as usual, yeah, the old stuff's better. The new stuff, it kind of lacks a little resonance with the younger crowd, right? And with where we're at, whether or not we're in a new era of politics, I don't know, frankly, right? I don't. It's yet to be seen as to whether or not the same tactics and the same tried and true, methods will continue to work or just work in different ways. I do think that yes. We are at a point where, at least locally, I can look around the Bay Area and see that we are in our congressional representation is, on the probably downward slope of their political careers, and you start to wonder how much, how effective, how transformative they're going to be, and how much more we could get out of someone with simply just more to gain in the future, right? Like a lot of these folks, like Nancy Pelosi, Zoe Lofgren, and Eshu, who has just stepped down, right, and was replaced now by Sam Liccardo. They've accomplished so much, and yet, right, one could argue that they've reached the point where they can't be as effective as they used to be, and we need that new force. But then again, like I just said, Anna Eshu steps aside and does the whatever quote unquote honorable thing, and we get at Mayor Ed 208 or whatever, right? Like as the congressperson. So it's kind of like the devil and the devil you don't. Not that these folks are devils necessarily, but we really want to see some change, but what change looks like isn't always what we want.
And like, not for nothing, like the guy seems like an operator and like a pretty effective one, but that doesn't translate to being a good candidate, right? Those are two different things.
Or a legislator too. We're going to hear a little bit about it in the stories about Mayor Ed 209 in a second here. But running in for the very next story, actually, it might be a good segue about how government needs to another old meme, government needs to run more like a business, right? If we ran government more like a business, it would be more efficient and effective and get more things done. And that's just not, it's apples and oranges.
I'm not getting that impression from Pelosi's opponent here in any way that's his position. I'm getting like to the left of the Democratic Party from him. And like the leaders here are, like you were saying, like they're kind of out of touch. Like, I don't know if you're probably not up on this, but Ro Khanna retweeted Jack Posobiec today.
Yeah, Ro Khanna's been featured on the Doge website as a potential ally, the actual official Doge website. So yeah, because he's talked about government efficiency, right? So yeah, our own representatives here are in some ways in a lot of big ways out of touch with where we are at least, and where their actual constituents are, and not Silicon Valley, right? And they're going. It's yet to be seen what kind of price they're going to have to pay, right? I think that Ro Khanna himself benefited from Mike Honda, his predecessor, being a little bit towards the end of his career and just perhaps a little bit out of touch and not ready for a challenge, right? And he just threw his hat in the ring and did it, and it took a couple of times and tries, but he won, right? Eric Swalwell went after I'm sorry, I'm forgetting all of a sudden the Congress member that he took out, who had reached the end of their sort of term, as it were, and he took advantage of an opportunity and got in there and now is making a huge name for himself, right? The guy ran for president, for fudge's sake. Yeah.
Not only that, Dan Badandi, big fan of him, calls him Eric Swallowswell.
Swallowswell. So best of luck to the challenger here, whose name I'm not going to even try to pronounce because I will fucking butcher it. But good on them. We'll see what happens. There was a similar challenge to Anna Eshu, and from a candidate from the tech legal world who threw their own money into the race and just didn't really organize a campaign that was going to be a successful campaign. If this guy can organize, there's potential. San Francisco is, as we've seen, ripe for, political turmoil and a political underdog. And if he can sell it right, and he can hustle, and he can actually organize and not just talk, he might have a chance. But Pelosi's juggernaut is just going to try and crush anything that comes at them, and that's why they're not commenting on this story, because it's just like whatever to them for now. Right? They have to prove, this guy's going to have to prove himself before they're going to take him seriously.
And not for nothing, homeboy is a snack. All right. I'm just telling you, not for nothing. Being good looking never hurt anybody.
Hey girl, you can make that judgment. I really don't I don't know. I think you're pretty cute, but I just don't know. Right? Like
I'm just telling you, being good looking never hurt nobody.
That's for sure. It's very true. I worked for a council member who was an underwear model, in addition to being a police officer. But he at one point was an underwear model, so he definitely was not immune to that, and it certainly helped. Even though he was the smartest guy on the council, he also happened to be the cutest.
All right, so now we're going to move on to winners and losers. Where if you were rooting for somebody, that's who loses. We got Mayor Ed209 wants to do probably some version of Doge within the city of San Jose.
Imagine that if it's a pig and it oinks.
Make your city leaders more accountable. That's what the mayor of San Jose says is behind this newest proposal. Mayor Mahan says he wants to link pay raises to hitting specific city goals. NBC Bay Area's Marian Favreau explains a new ballot measure the mayor hopes voters will get behind.
And it's time we incentivized progress.
Today, San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan unveiled a pay-for-performance proposal that will ask voters to support tying future merit raises for himself, council members, and high-level administrators to specific city goals.
Today, I'm asking that we hold ourselves at City Hall accountable for results. Results on the issues that matter most to our residents.
This shit's really easy for him to go up there and say, because he already did something else and took the bag.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude's got Instagram, or I'm sorry, Pinterest money. Pinterest bought out. For a little backstory, folks. Matt Mahan was in the tech world and startup world. He was a CEO of Causes back when Causes was a thing on Facebook, if y'all remember, right? And then that later became Brigade, which was kind of like an organizing platform that never really, did much of anything as far as I know. But it was a great idea, and he had a staff, and he had a team, and he had money, and he sold the company to Pinterest when he decided to run for city council and divest himself. So he made a pretty penny. He got all his staff hired for the most part, from what I heard, so that's good on them. But he made a pretty penny already for himself, so he's doing just fine. His family's doing just fine. They are a 2-income family. They're doing just fine. So he don't have to worry about no pay increase, right? And at the end of the day, he votes on his own pay increase. So, so much as you want to hold the city council accountable to themselves, it's like you still got to approve it or shoot it down. And when maybe he doesn't have to worry about it, but other people do. Anyway, let's hear more about it.
Well, I just assume like some of those high-level administrators there, you might be like, oh, that's a pretty good salary, but those people, I'm assuming most of them they didn't sell no company, and they rely on that money for like investments to pay their mortgage, and they could probably, if the cost of living goes up, could do with a raise. And like if the city council isn't voting to like give them the things that they need to do their job well, and then they fucking turn around and be like, no raise for you, we didn't give you the resources you need to do your job well, sorry, Charlie. The person's like, my name actually is Charlie. They're like, I didn't even know your name.
Yeah, I mean, there is more to the story, but to that point, it's the city of San Jose, as we've discussed already, going way back to pension reform efforts that happened 15 years ago, right? And are still having reverberations. City of San Jose is already not known as a very, loving and fun and gainful employer, right? A desirable landing spot, right? They're not an attractive landing spot for public service employees, particularly at this level where you're talking about department directors. There has been a chronic problem of department directors leaving for greener pastures because maybe they don't get paid as much, or maybe they get paid a little more, but they don't have to deal with an administration that doesn't want them there, and a political climate that is actually combative to them, right? And this is more of that. This is more of the same. This is making the city unpalatable as a landing spot for the career professionals who we need to do the work, the people who do know what's going on and can be ready, not from day one, right? But know how to do the job and are there to do the job that the city council can't freaking do. The mayor's office can't fucking do all this work. Like, you need these career professionals to do it. And now you're telling them that, you're giving them one more reason not to come to San Jose, right? The pay in the public sector sucks and they could make more in the private sector, but they do this work because they love it. And now you're making it harder for them to do it. So I'm sorry. I want to let the story play out, but
I have an itchy mouse button finger.
It's all good, but yeah, so let's let the story play out.
Issues that matter most to our residents. Because if we aren't making progress, we shouldn't be getting pay raises.
Mahan hopes the move will increase city government efficiency, one of his campaign promises. He wants to give council members and administrators clear priorities in tackling 4 issues: reducing homelessness, public safety, cleaning up blight, and attracting investments in jobs and housing. Today, San Jose residents we talked with had mixed reactions to the proposal.
I'm definitely in favor of solving those problems. I'm just not sure how the measurement would be made.
I think it's beneficial, especially for the homeless. People need to be held accountable. There's a lot of people out here that are homeless and are struggling, and it's their lives that are on the line.
The city already has dashboards to track San Jose's progress on the 4 focus areas. The mayor says the new approach will be similar to performance evaluations in the private sector. And now he wants voters to decide whether to make the change. If approved by City Council, the initiative will go before voters next year. In San Jose, Marianne Favreau, NBC Bay Area News.
What's your read on the council approving it? Because I think they're pretty combative to the majority of the city council is on the other side of Mayor Ed 209 in most cases, right?
Yes and no. That's actually a really good question because it's something that's coming up a lot around this District 3 race that we just discussed, and how it could mean, the balance of power on the city council. Omar Torres was known as a progressive. He was labor supported council member. But there are other labor supported and Democratic supported and progressive-ish council members who have sided with Mayor Ed 209 on some issues, especially around housing and safe encampment sites and RV zones and things of this nature, because they're trying to appease, their residents and the NIMBYs in their neighborhoods. And so the majority can kind of go either way on any given day and any given issue right now. So I don't know how far this is going to get with the council. I can tell you this much, Producer Dave. If this got on the ballot, it would be approved like 95%. I guarantee it. There would be no contest. Okay, maybe not 95, but it would win like 2-1 at the ballot box. I guarantee you, because this is the easiest sell for anyone. Like Lisa Jimenez, I forget who the woman on the street in there was. She would vote for it in a heartbeat, right? Doesn't know a thing about it, but like, hey, we got to hold people accountable, right? Makes perfect sense. It sounds really good, right? If people aren't, why should I give you a raise if you're not doing your job? Right? That's a really easy political argument to make to folks in terms of voting. So I guarantee if this gets on the ballot, it's going to pass overwhelmingly. But
right, but then you run into like, who decides what the fucking criteria are by which someone gets like even just a adjusted for cost of living raise?
The voters don't give a shit, and the voters wouldn't decide it, right? Neither
the devil is in the details, and the voters don't see the devil.
Right, like the details could even be in the ballot measure, and they're not going to give a shit about that, right? So it could be whatever you want, whatever the council wants is going to be the mechanism for determining how it works, right? And again, this is it's just creating another barrier to public service when the council is going to have purview over, And again, they're right. This is only going to apply to them as a council. And even the council members don't make enough, Producer Dave, to qualify for what, normal, whatever the powers that be determine is enough money to, afford a home or to afford to live in an area, right?
Or maybe even comfortably get an apartment, like a 3-bedroom apartment for them. Their spouse and their kid, right?
Correct. Yeah. So the council members' salaries, even after some increases in recent years, it's not even enough to afford that level of living, right? So technically, there's already challenges there. And then when you talk about the directors, they make good money, but they have big ass jobs, and they're asked to do so much more in San Jose than they would most other cities in Santa Clara County or in this region, or wherever they're from, right? If they're coming in, we certainly can't attract folks from out of town these days because, it's try telling an administrator who's could be the most kick-ass administrator ever, right? And department director ever. But they live now in Idaho or Nebraska or North Carolina or somewhere where it's just not, the cost of living is not as high, and they're doing just fine, right? And you're telling them to come here and make, not that much more money, but to have so many higher expenses. And this is why a lot of cities and local agencies are offering housing subsidies and loan subsidies to help people buy homes. If they come work for my city and I'll help you buy a house, right? They have to incentivize it that way because that's already a problem. And now you're telling them that, like you said, typical cost of living increases and other pay scale increases. Oh yeah, this is all going to be determined by not just you, but your entire department, your staff, your team's ability to meet these goals. Because it's this, pro and con, the staff isn't going to have to deal with this. The rank and file, because they're all unionized and they are all protected by their contracts. So you can't actually do anything about that, right? You can't actually tie performance to pay for them, which is great. It's great news. That's fantastic news for the abundance of them, but this is making it really difficult to recruit some of these really key positions and directors that stay vacant for a long time already because it's hard to fill them. It makes it that much harder to fill, and if you don't have leadership in these departments, the staff is running around like a chicken with its head cut off, right? They don't have direction, they have no vision, so they're just doing the job and they're coming home at 5:00 and that's it. Whereas if you have a fully functioning and a department, a fully functioning city with everyone on the same page, wanting to be there, all on board for the team, let's fucking go, right? Then you actually have people that are going above and beyond and creating more efficiency and creating better product for the consumer instead of this bullshit. This is going to be, the reverse is going to happen, right? This is going to make us less efficient. It's going to make us less productive and less solutions oriented as a city. It's just going to create an environment where everyone's just trying to do their job and not get fired.
And as far as the pay for the city council and the heads of the departments, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you let's say you bump city council to $350 a year, right, and then you bump the heads of departments to what C-suite level people might be making, not at these big tech companies, right, but at a medium-sized business or something. Now you get people complaining, well, I can barely pay my bills, and these government mucky mucks are making all this money. But then on the flip side, if you don't pay enough, especially on the city council side, you get these rich out of touch assholes who are the only ones running for these fucking positions. And so you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And it's really hard to explain to the population that actually it's good that if you pay the city council enough to go buy a house, because now you can run for city council and be comfortable with your wage as a city council member.
Right. And you're not just going to get someone who's out of touch with you, right? Who doesn't understand you, right? I did mention that Anthony, Tordios earlier, he gave himself a lot of money because he has it. I do know for a fact that he's a much more community driven and connected person, but there are plenty of folks like him who are not as that driven like that and just spend their own money to get into office.
Matt Mahan, when he ran this he ran as something that he isn't. He was like, I'm just going to fucking la-da-da-da-da. I got all this money and I'm going to do all this progressive great stuff for San Jose and fucking rainbow capitalism fucking asshole. Fucking pulled the wool over everybody's eyes, including ours.
Sure. And now he's running and he's doing his thing as mayor and pushing this agenda that and it's all in service of whatever's next for him, whatever he thinks is next, governor or some sort of statewide office. He's never
I can't wait to watch him get trounced.
I would love that.
Governor candidate.
I would love that by Kamala Harris. I would love Kamala Harris to wipe the floor with him. That would be beautiful. Little pipsqueak, but
it'd be funny if of all people Nancy Pelosi loses and then whoops Matt Mahan's ass in the governor's race.
Oh, it'd be wonderful. But you're right. That's what you get is the lowest common denominator when you make it that inaccessible to everyone, right? They're supposed to be our representatives, but if you get people that don't know who we are, right, and don't really represent us, then you get policies like this. And wouldn't you know it, producer Dave, this was like the second worst policy that Mayor Ed 209 proposed this week. I can't believe
this guy is such a jackass.
Yes. So the next one, so to be fair, both of these policies, we're going to get into his second jackass policy in a second. Both of these policies, just to frame it, were very clear campaign promises. Very, very clear mayoral campaign promises. So he is no one should be fucking surprised by this. All of my friends are running around like chickens with their head cut off and their hair on fire. Like, oh God, Matt Mahan, I can't believe he's doing this. Give me a fucking break. He said this all along. He telegraphed this all along.
If only his opponent wouldn't have tried to tack to his right when they had a strong progressive record in other work that they had done.
Imagine that. Imagine if only. But, sour grapes, water under the bridge. We got to move forward. Let's hear about what Mayor Mahan proposed to do about the homeless, quote unquote.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. San Jose is escalating its crackdown on the homeless crisis. Mayor Matt Mahan says too many people are repeatedly refusing shelter, and now he's proposing an ultimatum: move inside or face jail time. Nearly 10,000 people faced housing insecurity in Santa Clara County, according to the latest count in 2023. About 2,500 of them were sheltered, but a wide majority were living in the streets. The mayor says the city is now investing in solutions and has the shelter to offer people. And he says it's now on them to accept it. Kara St. Cyr has more on the new policy and heard from homeless advocates who say it is not going to work.
It's all wet. It's all mildewed. Oh, that's dirty.
The road to stable housing is often a rocky one, if you ask, Teresa said.
I just lost my cord, so that's good.
She's lived on these train tracks since 2023, partially because finding housing that she can stay in is hard.
I have past trauma issues that if I'm around more than 4 people, I get panic attacks. I have night terrors and scream, so I can't stay in a regular shelter.
Sometimes she refuses, but soon that could be grounds for an arrest.
San Jose Firefighters Local 230 really appreciate our labor leaders, public safety union standing with me on this.
What, the firefight? Fuck. Okay, I guess for the first time ever, fuck the fire department.
Strange bedfellows do politics make.
Oh, man. There's that old joke about how there ain't no song about fuck the fire department. Well, guess what? San Jose is trying to up the ante.
Yeah, no, we'll get into it in a second, but they have a very specific reason, right? Like to be fair, they're tired of putting out fires, apparently. So that's the problem. Anyway, we'll get into it in a second, but yeah, you're right.
Using a plan that allows police to arrest unhoused people who refuse multiple offers of shelter.
We all have a responsibility to end this crisis. Government, on behalf of our community, has a responsibility to build shelter, and our homeless neighbors have a responsibility to use it.
Mahan's proposal would expand the city's definition of trespassing to include sheltering on public streets for 3 days. If violators refuse shelter, they'll first get a warning. If they refuse 3 times within a year, they could end up in jail.
But we are going to create dignified indoor places with services for people to be as an alternative to the streets. We can't fulfill that promise and make good on that solution if 1 in 3 people say, no thanks, I'd rather stay here on the streets. And that is actually a rough ratio we see as we go to different sites around the city doing outreach.
Rough.
But David Lowe, the senior director of public policy at Destination Home, says the proposal ignores the heart of the problem.
The fact of the matter is there's just simply nowhere near enough places for people who are experiencing homelessness in our community to go.
On any given day, San Jose has about 5,400 homeless people, but only 2,900 beds available. Lowe says the discrepancy in housing is why he thinks this plan won't work.
It's a really disturbing trend because we simply cannot arrest our way out of our homelessness crisis.
San Jose plans to add 1,000 new indoor spaces over the next year, but Said, who just accepted housing a few days ago, says she still feels the proposal doesn't take the needs of unhoused people into consideration.
It's not fair to force us to, and because it's going to cause more problems.
And just this week, the city opened its second safe sleeping site. It gives those living in RVs a safe place to sleep. The facility is taking on about 7 RVs a day until they reach full capacity. Homeless advocates say this site is more accessible than the city's first safe sleeping site at the Santa Teresa VTA light rail station because it doesn't require drivers to be insured or their vehicle to be registered.
Oh man!
But
so
where is
many
this
things.
other location? The point of it being at the Santa Teresa VTA was that the light rails right there, right? That was like one of the big points of it, is that you could get around like really easily from that location.
Yeah, it was one easily, leverageable land, right? It's public land, so they have land that they can put towards this, right? They don't have to acquire anything. So that's one big plus. And yes, that's another big, huge plus, was that the access to transit. So folks who have jobs and need to get around can do that in an easy way, not just the light rail, right? But the bus, any light rail station has a bus depot as well, or a bus station. So you can transfer to that as well. So yeah, I'm not sure where the newest location is, but there's just so many things here to unpack, and to do, it could be a whole episode of Downballot to do it. But suffice it to say, a lot of the points were already raised. We do not currently have the shelter capacity to offer a bed to everyone, not even close. In fact, a new piece by one of David's colleagues at Destination Home, David Lowe, who, by the way, used to work for Mayor Sam Liccardo, so you can be saved, ladies and gentlemen. One of his colleagues wrote a piece today on San Jose Spotlight that pointed out that there's a waiting list of something like 100, there's a lack of thousands of beds, and hundreds of families on waiting lists. And really, just what's happened is we've got one available. I'm sorry, that's what it was. It was 10 available beds on any given night. With all the capacity we have, 10 available beds countywide on any given night, and you've got 1,400 people on the waiting list. So you've got like 140 people per vacant bed right now, right? So we don't have the capacity to offer people beds. Secondly, what are they even thinking about how this looks functionally, right? Like implementing it, enforcing it. The sheriff has said, look, our jails are already at capacity. We're not taking on a bunch of people. Like if you were going to arrest a bunch of people, right, for being homeless, we're not going to be housing them in our jail. They're going to get cited and they're going to get released, right? So what exactly are we accomplishing? We're putting a citation and another fine on people that are unhoused and can't afford housing. So you're adding another financial burden to them. You're picking them up out of their place, arresting them even, putting them through a process, releasing them somewhere, probably nowhere near where their shit's at, and putting them back on the street to fend for themselves again and do whatever they were doing already to survive. So it's not actually solving the problem of getting folks housed and back on track and off the street, right? And not out of living on the street. You're just putting them back on the street with a fine and a criminal record. So that's realistically how it's going to look. And this may sound really good to the people in Almaden who voted for him for council, and the people citywide who voted for this guy over the other option because they like the idea of common sense solutions. But it may sound really good to them, but practically it's not going to work. It's going to have, again, the entirely opposite effect of not solving the problem and probably getting people to distrust government more when it comes to getting the services that they actually need. And the number one thing here is trust, and we're not building it.
We end up here too, like where people, when they common sense, most people just mean the thing that I intuitively think is correct, and I think it more often means this: an answer that requires that I not think about this too much.
There you go. No, that's very much what they're playing on. They're playing on the fact that most people don't want to think about these things too much because they have their own problems, right, in their own lives. They don't want to think about these macro issues, even though the macro issues actually do impact their individual lives. They don't make the connection, and I don't blame them because it's just very difficult to do that. No one has the time these days to take pause and do that. So they're taking advantage politically here of a zeitgeist, and it's going to backfire. It's going to blow up right in their face. I think they're just
hoping folks move on to a different city. I think that's what they're hoping to do, is to just chase these people out of San Jose. But the problem is, where the fuck are they going to go?
Yeah, that's the underlying problem, is that this is bullshit. This whole we estimate that 1/3 of people are refusing shelter. Fucking bullshit. Show me the numbers. The overwhelming majority of people, 95%, they want to get housed. They want some shelter. They would love shelter. They showed that
shelter though, and there was you could touch the bed next to you.
Yeah,
that's not very dignified.
Not at all. And we don't even have that, Producer Dave. We don't even have that undignified solution to offer, not even close to everyone who's on the streets. So to imply otherwise is complete bullshit. It's complete posturing. It's complete political performative crap. And I really hope, God, I wish everyone could have a home, right? I wish it would work. I wish there was some solution that you could do and just snap your fingers and it would work and everyone would be fine. It's not going to happen that way. And it's shitty that we have to go down these roads to get to that point, to realize that this is not going to work, right? For this guy to be proven wrong and for all of this shit to fall apart. It sucks that it takes that to get on the right track, right? When we should be on the right track to begin with. But that's sort of where we're at. So we have to poo-poo, people who are in their own mind trying to solve the problem, I guess. But really, they're just trying to solve a political problem. They're not trying to solve a social problem.
And I mean, so we hear, all the time from people, there's, more, X number of times more vacant, livable properties in the United States than there are homeless people. But I wonder what the breakdown is, county by county. I would assume, based on all the fucking for rent that I see everywhere that I go, that Alameda County has plenty of place for the fucking homeless. But the problem there is somebody owns that place, right? They want to jack the rent up on somebody like me who's fucking barely able to afford the fucking rent. And so they're too busy squeezing me to help the fucking people a few rungs down on the ladder.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And they're just trying to make ends meet, Producer Dave. They're trying to protect their investment, right?
They're not. To get that, most of these places are owned by corporations.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that was certainly the one that tried to jack my rent 18% the last year I lived in rental housing, that in 1 year. They definitely are. So yeah, no, it's a sham. It's a complete sham. And this is all, it's going to blow up in their face. Unfortunately, it's not going to solve the problem. It's going to get worse. And we're going to be more years down the road without real solutions, right? Or maybe just taking a step aside from real solutions that were working.
And not for nothing, the guy who owns this building, when I talk to him, he's like, "Listen, I'm only going to raise your rent if they jack because electricity is included, right?" He's like, "If PG&E jacks up the electricity 200%, the end of your lease, we're going to have to raise your rent on that." He's like, "I don't like raising people's rent." He's like, "What I like is long-term tenants." He's like, "Go talk to people about the last time I raised their rent." He's like, "Speaking of which, the ad said this, we're actually going to give you this rate." And I think there's only one person in the world like that. And it could turn out that the dude's there's something shit that I don't know about. But I met a motherfucker who's lived here for 17 years. And he said, "Oh yeah, I think my rent went up once."
Yeah. Reliability and comfort and security and safety they mean so much. I've got business clients, right, where I haven't raised their rate in years, or they haven't raised my rate in years. And when I finally ask, what should I be paying you for this service? They're like, "Oh, don't even ask, man. You don't want to know," because it's the security of that is so much more important than turning a bigger profit, right? The profit comes from the security of knowing you've got a reliable tenant who you can count on to not burn the fucking place down.
Well, if you're an individual, maybe, and you like that idea, if you're a big fucking corporation and you just own 9 apartment complexes, you don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Remodeling it and then jacking the rent up 30%, you do that enough, you fucking any of that fucking time that you had to spend, time and money you spent remodeling the place and whatever, you're going to make that money back pretty fucking quick, aren't you?
Absolutely, and you need to, because you got investors who are like, "Well, we'll make my money," right? They want to see their money. So it's crapshoot where you land eventually, but
not everybody is a landlord because they love a historic building and they were in a position to buy it, apparently.
Imagine that, right? We'll talk more offline about that. I've got some ideas, but anyway. Well, we do have to move on because we have a little bit more to discuss, and we've got not a lot of time because I want to make sure you get to.
Oh, we have all the time in the world now. I don't have some fucking band setting up asking me questions while I'm trying to do this anymore. So,
bro, can you hear my hi-hat? Well, not to be outdone, Mayor Ed 210 up in San Francisco is trying to enlist his own nonprofit to help them solve the homelessness crisis. So we're going to learn more about that here.
San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie is rolling out a brand new plan trying to help at-risk families stay in housing. It's an $11 million investment from Tipping Point. It's the nonprofit that he founded. Joining us now is Sam Cobbs. He's the CEO of Tipping Point. Sam, nice to talk to you this morning.
Hey, Sam.
So the release from the city says this investment...
How much are those glasses, Sam?
Right.
New solutions to help families. Tell us
How many trips to the fucking produce market would I be able to do with that shirt you're wearing, Sam?
what those solutions could look
What's
like.
the thread count?
Yes. Good morning. The pilot is to do new solutions, and so one of the things that we know about homelessness is that it is preventable. And so we're trying to go further upstream and prevent homelessness before it starts. And some of the things that we're going to do is usual to give families who are at imminent risk for homelessness financial assistance. But what we also want to do is bring in other support systems that will also help the family keep their housing. As an example, legal services. As an example, if a family is underemployed, can we bring in job placement services to help them find a better job? Because we really believe that preventing homelessness before it starts is the best way to attack our homeless problem in San Francisco.
Is that really the approach, really trying to help people who are at risk or on the bubble of losing their homes stay in their homes rather than the people that many of us will drive by and see living in tents or otherwise this morning on the street?
Oh, I love how the KPIX dude frames it as like you have to do one or the other. You couldn't possibly fucking do both, you dumb motherfucker.
And also reiterates exactly what the dude just said, basically.
Yes, it is horrible to see people living on our streets and suffering. But this initiative is, again, to go further upstream and prevent people from having to face that situation at all. You know, if you think about it, if you have something that's overflowing in your house, if you have a bucket and the water is still running to that, you don't go and just start dipping out the water. You actually cut off the spigot first. You actually cut off the flow of water. And that's what it is that we're trying to do with families, is cut off the flow of families becoming homeless in San Francisco, therefore leaving more resources to help those who have become homeless get off the street.
So where does the money come from?
So the money has been privately fundraised from Tipping Point donors. We have a great selection of donors who helped us raise $21 million of a $25 million initiative. This is an $11 million investment, and this will be the biggest investment that we make from that $25 million initiative.
Fascinating to see private equity or private works come forward to help.
Not private equity.
That is what we call bridge builders. And we definitely hope for a Bay Area bounce back where that's concerned. Sam, always nice to talk to you. Please come back and talk to us.
Get the fuck out of here. Private equity didn't give him any of that money. It's fucking rich fucking do-gooders. What the fuck, dude? BlackRock did not donate to this.
No, yeah, pretty much rich do-gooders like Daniel Lurie, the Levi Strauss, scion, all his buddies. Yeah, they're the folks that gave to this. And yes, so Tipping Point are the ones putting up the money. It does not make this any less shady.
No, this is self-dealing.
Completely. It's exactly what you'd expect from, the president, right? And we're seeing it in San Jose, we're seeing it in San Francisco. The same kind of bullshit is happening at a local level. And I'll give them one bit of credit. They're, at least in theory and speech, trying to address the root causes and try to prevent homelessness in the first place, which is the more sensible solution, which is, like you said, one facet of the solution, right? It's 3 Ps.
Well, and if this chair, hold on, I'm sorry, I actually, I don't give a fuck. My other co-host, I don't know, some guy that comes on Wednesday interrupts the shit out of me all the time, so I'll interrupt you. But
that fucking guy.
But why can't the charity do this without a partnership with the city? I don't understand.
Very fucking fantastic point, right? And a lot of them do, right? Like there's organizations like Destination Home that we heard from earlier in Santa Clara County who are doing that work, right? And are doing the work outside of with government support, but not through the government, right? Like not as the government agency itself. This is just marrying the two in a way that it just creates whole sorts of conflicts of interest situations, right? To as far as we talk about accountability, right, and making sure that we're meeting our metrics and that our partnerships are fulfilling their goals, right? Well, there you go, right? The mayor and his own buddies and his own organization now in league on how they're going to solve this issue, right?
Everybody involved needs to go to jail instead of the homeless people in San Jose.
That would be fucking fantastic, wouldn't it?
In fact, they should put them into fucking. They should put them in the Santa Clara County, Maine jail. See how they like it.
That would be fabulous. I do think a lot of our leaders would benefit from having a night in our Santa Clara County, Maine jail. I think they would really be eye opening for a lot of them, as far as lived experience goes. Yeah. So it's just more internal dealing and wheeling and dealing. But this is what happens when elections have consequences. You put people in power and you put business people in power of government, and this is what you get. You want to see government run like a business? Here you fucking go.
There's a term for when business and when corporations and governments merge, and I was told over and over and over again that I was being hysterical for calling anything that.
No, you are actually crazy. I don't know why I'm on this podcast. I should leave this network.
You know what's going to drive rents down and keep people who are already living in San Francisco in their fucking housing? Fucking OpenAI and a bunch of fucking assholes that work for OpenAI fucking moving to San Francisco.
I think so. But let's find out what they're doing to help, with real estate transactions.
We talk all the time about businesses leaving San Francisco, but one of the world's leading AI companies
cut that ribbon
down on the city. In fact, a grand opening was held today for OpenAI's new headquarters. As Kerosene Sear reports, city leaders are optimistic that it will only help bring in more business to the city.
No, like literally it's destroying business. You were wrong.
OpenAI is now a promising fixture in Mission Bay. AI Giant's new headquarters are now located on 3rd Street in the center of one of the city's fastest growing neighborhoods. Giancarlo Lionetti, the chief commercial officer.
That's just fucking, this is like just south of Market. Like, what the fuck fastest growing? You're in downtown. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
I thought downtown was in a fucking doom loop.
This is Stadium Row, but yeah, south downtown.
Oh, this is on. Okay, never mind. It's like south of downtown. Okay, yeah. Okay. Warriors Way. Okay,
Chase Center.
They're way out. Actually, they're almost out. They're almost out. They're like a little ways out on that T line. Actually, yeah.
Towards Hunters Point, exactly on the T line. That's it, right there in the middle of the street.
Has 2,000 employees working at Mission Bay and in the Mission. The plan is to double that number in a few years.
Our Mission Bay headquarters marks an exciting milestone for us because it does two things. It allows us to really house our innovation, but it also brings us together in a unified campus.
Mayor Daniel Lurie, who included the company's CEO, Sam Altman, on his transition team, says this move marks the beginning of a new era for the maker of ChatGPT.
This is an exciting moment for your company, for this neighborhood, but it's also an incredibly exciting time for our city.
This OpenAI location comes as downtown tries to recover from post-pandemic office vacancies and tech giant departures. Both Chevron and X announced they'd be moving their headquarters to Texas last year. Abby Royce, the research director at the Bay Area Council Economic Institute, says OpenAI is a good sign.
One company sets up shop in a specific industry, others will, be prone to doing so as well.
Oh, fantastic. So when this fucking obvious fucking bubble just bursts and there's nothing left there because all it does is draws you a Garfield with a dick, then this is all just going to come crashing down again.
Right, and there'll be nothing left, right? So nothing to back
Garfield.
It up. With a big dick.
Knowledge base that all is contained and concentrated in one area. And San Francisco has always been that, and I don't foresee it sort of changing.
In an email, the commercial real estate company CBRE told us that AI companies occupy about 8% of offices in San Francisco, and that number is expected to increase by the end of 2025. The company says that return to office calls are likely to increase leases this year as well. But Roy says that while OpenAI is a great sign, San Francisco should not put all their eggs in one basket.
To invest in tech, like I said, we are sort of the tech epicenter of the country, and I think that we should harness that and we should invest in that and make sure.
I'd argue that San Jose is that, but go on.
we retain that sort of standing. But I think it's really important to also not bet all of our cards on one industry and make sure that we're sort of distributing it across.
Oh, don't worry. You have crappy self-driving cars that get into arguments with each other too. So speaking of cars,
other sectors that can continue pushing our economy forward.
Honk.
The OpenAI move comes just days after we learned that Databricks is moving into the financial district. The data and AI company will be moving all of its San Francisco employees into 9 floors on One Sansom. That marks the largest new office lease in the city this year.
oh great, they're just burning fucking money. That's all right. That fucking Mark Andreessen's just going to keep giving it to him until he doesn't, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll all be fine and it will all work out really well and everyone's going to get paid. And then we'll have just a bunch of vacant office space to fill again and a bunch of people out of work and an economic recession. But the people in like Sam Altman's going to get paid. He ain't worried about no fucking recession.
Nah, even if this shit crashes, this dude already took the bag, right? This dude, the people that run these companies already fucking, they're like, I'm going to pass some of that through to myself, just in case.
Yeah, just to make my investment worth my while, right? Like it's my retirement nest egg, really. Like, would you deny me my retirement nest egg, producer Dave?
Oh man, this is all ridiculous. This is all ridiculous. So I'm serious that this is worse than any other tech bubble we've ever seen, because like the first tech bubble, right? Like, sure, like pets.com was a little ridiculous, but there were products in there that people used, like eBay. People used the shit out of eBay. There were like Google at that point, Google search was a thing that you could use. Right. And like there was like, even MySpace was useful to somebody. You could find out about a party, but then fucking the police found out about your party there and then you got raided. But like there was like real innovation, trying to do things that real people wanted to do. What is this doing? This isn't doing anything. This is ruining Google search. This is like taking like jobs away from illustrators. This is like
writers,
making crappy music. Like this is like everything that it was supposed to not. This is everything that like it's like a fucking dystopian fucking like sci-fi about like what happens with AI.
Yeah, it makes our lives easier, right? But whose life is it making easier? It's making easier for everyone at the top of the food chain, right? Because everyone at the bottom of the food chain is exactly who this is there to replace, whether it's intentional or not, whether it's benevolent or not, whether it's intended or not. That's exactly what's going to happen. We've been talking about it since like what, the Terminator, right? Like 30 years ago.
I think this one's going to piss people off we will talk about them as used to having economic power. It's going to pull the rug on like a lot of, before it crash, if it doesn't just crash and burn, which I'm hoping for. I know it's like, then the fucking San Francisco doom loop has started again because the Garfield dick drawing fucking app is fucking.
And San Francisco's still here. Like San Francisco's still here. It's not as though it fell into the abyss of the sea. It just reinvents itself, right? Like any city, any fully functioning city, any civilization, any society does. You reinvent yourself when the time comes, and when what's working is no longer working, and when what's been working is now obsolete, right? You just evolve. And whether it comes,
I'm sorry, this shit is so fucking useless. I am not hopeful that it's going to eventually find like a use that's going to make regular people's lives better. The thing is, this is going to pull the rug on like professional people. Like we call them the PMC, right? It's going to pull the rug on like the Democrats' base, and that's going to be a real fucking problem because the fucking all these Democrat politicians are just all in on this bullshit. Like it's like I said, like the first tech boom had its problems, but it also like brought along with it things like Linux, open source. They brought along with like the Apache web server. There were all these useful technologies that came along with the first tech boom. This one, there is nothing useful here.
Yep. No, I agree. I can't say anything clearer than you. So, not looking forward to the
Chad
end
is
result,
pointing out that I am plagiarizing as if I was an AI. Someone called Ed Zitron right now.
Well, let's find out more and let's get them on the show. Anyway.
I wish we could.
So proving that moving on and proving that all derp is indeed local. Other cities have their own problems, and looks like the folks in Oroville are now going to, if you're at least undocumented, are going to have to worry about basically driving while brown.
Oroville City Council members say it is not a sanctuary city, meaning they'll cooperate with federal immigration authorities. They adopted a resolution that states cooperation with federal, state, and local law enforcement is, quote, essential to apprehend individuals who pose a threat to the community, regardless of their immigration status. City Council member Sean Weber suggested a modification to the language included in the original resolution to avoid legal conflicts with Senate Bill 54. That was passed in 2018 to limit collaboration of local law enforcement with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE.
It's not a red or blue thing. It's not a Democrat-Republican thing. It's about common sense application of law. So the only reason why I lent my yes ultimately to the vote, because it was a unanimous vote, 7-0, was because my suggestions got baked into the motion.
Weber says the council should consider other options like writing a letter of support to the city of Huntington Beach in their lawsuit against the state on
That's so crazy. We've been watching Huntington Beach on fucking public comment, and Surf City is not. It's not. I'm going to go to Surf City where the kids are hip. Not anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to be surfing into Surf City.
Writing a letter of support for Senate Bill 554 that would create standards for when state law enforcement can work with ICE.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I mean, California, just like the United States, it's very big, very broad. There's a lot of diversity in this state. And as you prove every week on public comment, and when you're talking about
everybody's
Shasta,
just trying to be Shasta.
Yeah, right. They're trying to be best them and get on and get notoriety. Well, to be honest with you, I first found this story on our local news here in the Bay Area, and then I tracked down this story on Reading local news. So bringing you that truly local derp from the local news outlet, but it made it all the way down here. So they are making a name for themselves, and we will keep track of the progress there and see if we can find more opportunity for Oroville City Council to take center stage here on Downballot, because why the fuck not?
And like, isn't this like an agricultural? Isn't there like a lot of agriculture up there? Like, isn't this just?
Yeah.
Aren't you just like thinking like about your own like? Oh, this is common sense, but by that you mean what you believe and how you believe the world should work. When the rubber meets the road here, you're not actually going to be trying to help the feds deport all these people, because you know why? Because the wealthy business interests that finance your fucking shit are going to get mad at you.
I don't even know what kind of problem this is in Oroville. It's in NorCal. It's a foothills community. It's an old mining community. Like, I don't know that this is a hotbed for undocumented immigration activity in the first place. So again, this could be a solution in search of a problem, and just people feeling good about themselves for, wearing MAGA hats and wanting to keep their community, quote unquote, pure. So who's to say if it's even going to have that big of an impact? But all the arguments that are normally made, this is just silly season. But I can't wait to watch what happens.
Whew. Now we're going to move on to get your shit together, and this isn't great. I've already been seeing posts from people who I know actually in Santa Clara County who were having a bit of a hard time getting around because of the strike.
Yep.
And again, like most of them said solidarity with the workers, but one of them didn't, and one of them blamed the workers, and that's sort of what the management and the people on the other side of the negotiation hope starts happening, is that that you're pitting again working people against each other here. And,
and Mayor Ed 209 is on the side that, well, and we're probably not.
Anyway, the VTA did go on strike. The VTA employees did go on strike, and that's bad. That's bad. Now, mind you, it's not like San Francisco where everybody takes transit. But still,
it's enough. It's enough to disrupt a lot of shit.
That's for sure.
Yep. And we're going to hear more about the elected officials and other people who are jumping in to support our working people, and then those who are not so much.
Now on Midday Live, day 2 of a VTA strike means big headaches for folks in the South Bay trying to get to work, school, and even run errands. Thanks so much for joining us here for Midday Live on this Tuesday. I'm Julian Glover.
And I'm Kristen Z. Just hours ago, the president of the Workers Union held a rally to drum up support for his cause. But some people, including the mayor of San Jose, think the union's demands are unreasonable.
ABC 7 News reporter.
Well, of course he thinks that. He's fucking, what else would he think?
He wants it tied to performance. You need to get the buses here on time or you're not getting paid, bro.
Oh, what something about the trains running on? Oh, the VTA, the light rail, you could set your watch by it, actually.
It's really good.
You would have loved that shit.
It's quality.
The latest developments for the last few days. So, Lena, what's the latest developments with the protest? Are they still out there picketing?
Yeah, Julian, a few are still out here right now, and I can tell you that they say contract negotiations are still at a standstill right now. But earlier today, they were joined by city and county officials right here on the picket line outside of VTA headquarters to show their support for these workers.
We don't get respect. Shut it down.
The ATU International President John Costa joining VTA bus and light rail operators, maintenance staff, dispatchers, fare inspectors, and customer service representatives on the picket line. As their strike moves into day 2, he says this isn't only about wages, but also an arbitration agreement.
This is about our contract, our protections, our right to due process that we've had historically in our contract here and in many places in the ATU.
Raj Singh, president of ATU Local 265, says they're getting mixed messages from the Transit Authority.
Because on one hand, we got an email saying that we disagree with some of our positions, but they're still going to, sit down. They won't give us time.
With no agreement reached, some city and county leaders are showing their support for the workers, including San Jose City Council member Domingo Candelas, who sits on the VTA Board of Directors.
It took me 45 minutes to get here from Evergreen. Why? There's no transit running. There's no buses. There's no light rail. Keep fighting.
You're the backbone of our public infrastructure and public transportation system. So yes, let's get a deal. Let's move on. Let's make sure we get a fair contract and make sure that you can get back to your lives.
VTA saying on Monday the union has not shown willingness to move on their demands.
The kind of wage increase that ATU is asking for is just not possible in a way that we can maintain the service that we're offering our passengers that they need. We would have to make service cuts and possibly job cuts.
We also reached out to San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan's office, and he says the union's demand of a 19% raise over the next 3 years is unreasonable, and he's calling for both parties to get back to the bargaining table and restore service. Live in San Jose, Lena Howland, ABC 7 News.
Okay, thank you so much, Lena.
Well, yikes. So this looks like it's not going anywhere right away. This looks like we're going to be here a while on this this strike again, like in a place where almost everyone drives. Again, you're hitting like the poorest folks with this. I mean, sometimes I'd see a lot of Cisco badges and stuff on light rail, right? Because like when I was going from Campbell to when I was working in North San Jose, it was super convenient, actually, and it stopped right there at Cisco. But those people probably got a car or have access to, a way to get to work. But, you're talking, some kids can't get to school. A lot of kids take light rail to school, dude.
Mm-hmm. No, it's very true here. It's impacting the folks that probably can't afford it the least. It's unfortunate because they're the folks that you need to be aligned with the workers to make something like this work, right? And a strike be effective. So yeah, it's we shall see how this ends up playing out. They seem to be pretty far apart as far as, the workers being at 18% increase, the VTA being at 9%. I would hope that there's some sort of middle ground because it's true. Like VTA doesn't have the resources to afford something like this, really what's being proposed, because of what you just talked about, right? It's still not the most, they don't have fee recovery, right? They don't have the ridership that can support increases like this, even though their workers are absolutely worth it and need it to survive. it's one of those chicken and egg situations where they really don't necessarily have the resources, and there would have to be a lot of changes to accommodate it. So hoping that they can meet somewhere in the middle. But it's affecting people who can least afford it. And that might be the tipping point. If management is successful in turning those folks against the workers, then you're going to see some movement. For now, it's only day 3 now, or day 2 today. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yep. It's it's kind of a shame too, because I swear to you, I so many times leaving when I was in Campbell, leaving Winchester, there'd be I hate to stereotype, very basic women from Los Gatos would get on the light rail and they'd be like, "Oh my God, this is so clean. This
so
is such a nice.
and,
oh my God, the air conditioning. Oh, and I
and
would
it's
just
smooth, and oh yeah, this is lovely, and I can bing.
It was just
next
astonishing to
stop,
me that they thought it was almost like it was quaint, right? That it was
sure. Well, they're expecting the doom loop. They're expecting the narrative that they've heard, that like pee and poop on the seats, and stench, and some homeless person masturbating in the corner. Like that's what they've come to expect, right? And because of all they've been told. But its reality is not what it's made out to be. And the book, you can't judge by the book by a Nextdoor post, basically.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody ever complained about light rail on Nextdoor, but I would hate to go search the Winchester, the area I used to live on Nextdoor, and see what people said about light rail. I bet they said all kind of dumb shit about it.
Absolutely. Did you see what happened at the light rail station? Can you believe it? Who is doing something about this? Matt Mahan. Do something. Well, I guess we're Campbell at the time, right? So Mayor Lopez, what are you doing about this?
Well, don't worry, everybody. There's going to be concerts that suck at PayPal Park.
Yeah, another thing, by the way, not that I could find. I couldn't find any human or animal interest stories, so we're going to talk about music at PayPal Park, potentially.
Hooray.
Hooray.
And turning now to San Jose, where the Earthquake soccer team is looking to expand the events that they can host at PayPal Park. They are currently submitting paperwork to amend their current permits and allow concerts in addition to sporting events. Amanda Harry talked to people in the area about the impact of potentially 15 more events a year at that venue.
There are already many different events that happen at PayPal Park, in addition to it being the home of the Earthquakes and the women's soccer team, Bay FC. Still, many days look like this, quiet and empty. The soccer club is hopeful that this will allow them to utilize the space more. The Earthquake Soccer Club has submitted paperwork to the city of San Jose to update their current permits, making PayPal Park also a concert venue. In the proposal, they say it will have an economic benefit for local businesses. Owner of Chicken Drip, Zach Hamadeh, agrees.
So it'll definitely be very good for us. We already see an incline in sales whenever there's a game going on over here.
Chicken Drip is walking distance from PayPal Park, located just across the street. He says
people still be driving.
Often see a 10%
oh hell yeah, including me.
Hamadeh is hoping concerts will expose new customers to his business.
Every concert will have different demographics.
This comes at a time when the city is preparing for multiple major events in 2026. The area is already slated to host the Super Bowl, several FIFA World Cup matches, and NCAA men's college basketball tournament games. Mayor Matt Mahan is supportive and says the concerts could be an opportunity for the venue to show it can handle an array of events. Quote, the San Jose Earthquakes are taking an exciting step forward on the march to 2026. All of our incredible facilities, including PayPal Park, are going to be ready to host fan experiences for residents and visitors from around the world next year as we redefine entertainment in the capital of Silicon Valley. But Hamadeh admits there will be some drawbacks.
The only problem that there usually is when there's games is right after the game when everybody's leaving, or right before the game when everybody's coming in. This whole area is kind of blocked off because there's only one entrance and one exit. Like the car line goes all the way down to the second light over there.
He says some of his regular customers avoid the area on game days, but new customers make up for that loss. Overall, he's hopeful the Earthquakes will get approval.
I'm excited about more events because at the end of the day, it does draw more customers.
City staff will now review the permit amendment. The Earthquakes say they're going to conduct a sound study as well as have community meetings to meet with the neighbors.
So
that's going to go real well.
So it's fucking, it's like you can see it from light rail, but it's not really served by light. Not that matters. There's no light rail right now, but I mean, assuming that light rail eventually starts back up, I'd have no problem walking from light rail to there, right? It's 15-20 minute walk, like whatever, but nobody's going to do that.
No, it's a 5-minute walk from Caltrain, but then even that's a tough one for folks to accomplish.
Which Caltrain station's right there?
The Santa Clara.
Okay.
This station.
You're right. Okay, it's by Santa Clara University. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little underpass, walkway underpass, so you can park if you wanted to get cheap parking. You can park at the Caltrain station. Pro tip: Bay FC season ticket holder, park at the Caltrain station and walk, and it's perfectly fine.
Or fucking find out, is there a Caltrain station near where you live? I know that's for the poors, but
the
Caltrain's not for the poors, right?
For us, I mean, we live 5 minutes away from the stadium, so it's easier for us with the kid. But yeah, if you're near a Caltrain station, hop on that train and get to the game that way. I'm all for live music and I'm all for more entertainment options. Just devil's in the details, and we'll see what happens. Like, I'm also not,
they're not going to. The problem is they're going to do this again. This is just the way San Jose rocks, right? They're not going to, what they should do, if they get the permit, the first thing they need to do is be like a taste of San Jose. Have San Jose bands out, San Jose food vendors out, like have like a festival, sort of, like where there's like smaller stages and but they won't do anything like that.
Oh, it'd be fabulous, but yeah, you're right. That ain't gonna happen unless some people out in the community make it fucking happen. But yeah, who's got the time for that shit? Yeah, they're not gonna do that.
I know. The other problem with that would be the ongoing problem that we talk about a little bit in the San Jose music scene. There's some fucking dinosaurs that need to, go out to pasture.
That'd be nice, but. Yeah, but and so it'll be yet to be seen who does the programming here with the Quakes. But it's basically, it's not Taylor Swift, right? Because it's not big enough for them. But it's like the kind of band that would be playing at the arena can play at this place. Like, it's about the same capacity.
Like if Earth, Wind, and Fire came through,
right? Like an outdoor version of an arena show.
I would go to the shit out of an Earth, Wind, and Fire show.
I'll be fully honest. There are bands that would fit. They're an arena style band that I would love to see outdoors in San Jose that might be interested in playing this space that I would go to see. But again, like devil's in the details. Come on.
You always mean Fish. You always mean Fish.
Fine.
We love you, but you're a Fish fan.
That's very true.
You smell pretty clean for a Fish fan, by the way.
Well, I'm a prep school hippie. That's just how I roll. But no, but yeah, fucking A, Fish. No, this is the perfect kind of venue for them. They haven't played San Jose since 1990 something. So I'd be totally down for that. But regardless, like there are bands that would see San Jose as more of an option if they had this kind of outdoor venue to play. But again, the devil's in the details, and we'll see if they actually can draw them. If it's not Earth, Wind, and Fire, I'm not in, man. I want Earth, Wind, and Fire too.
I just feel like I'm telling you, like just doing something different, sort of like almost like it's a street fair, but in this stadium, and it would be so much fun.
Oh, it'd be hot. Oh, it'd be super hot. I've been to events there already that have featured local food trucks and local vendors, so they could make it happen. But those were other organizations organizing those things, not the Quakes. So yeah,
not the Quakes. And if they were to contract anybody out, I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe the Knight Foundation, because the Knight Foundation funds Bike Party a little bit. So
yeah,
maybe the Knight. But I mean, we know those who shall not be named would just have if they did that, it would just be the same like hard rock bands that we've been seeing for the last fucking forever at SoFa.
It would be music in the park, at PayPal. But and unfortunately, Knight is kind of checked out on arts and culture stuff lately. Their new Knight representative in San Jose is a former VC, and he's really into incubation and AI. So
fuck, man, the Knight Foundation was super.
They still are.
My main thing is that they had some conflicts actually with those who shall not be named, and they kind of told those people to go fuck themselves. So that was one of my favorite things about them.
They still have a lot of potential, and they're still committed to San Jose in some way. But right now, it's just not a good situation. So, but that's another down ballot we can get into.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
that is what it is. I don't know. I mean, I might go to a show there. I'd be the only one walking from light rail. People would be like, "You walked how far?" I'd be like 17 minutes. They'd be like, "You poor thing.
You poor thing. Are your feet okay?" I'm going to take you to see Fish there. I'll walk in my Birkenstocks.
I'm not. I will go to many things with you, not a Fish concert.
Not with me, or would you not go to a Fish concert, period? Or just not with me?
No, this isn't about you.
Okay, good. We'll go see
almost anything with you.
You and me will go see. We'll go see Hanson. Let's do that.
Oh, Mbop.
Reunion tour. I've seen them twice. They're actually really good. They're not too shabby. The Good Wife is a big fan.
They're like almost our age.
They are. It's kind of scary, but they're pretty decent. They're pretty decent.
They're like famous boy band Hanson, and one of them is like, I have a little bit of gout.
I gotta check my prostate. Hold on, guys. Bop. All right. Anyway,
cancel the councilman. You want to read the show out?
Yeah, it's well past my bedtime and DJ's.
This is the end where the people vamp and suck at it.
Hey, producer Dave, what a great story we just heard there from the reporter. Let me talk about it for a minute. All right. Well, thank you so much, listener and viewer, for tolerating us one more time here on Downballot. We do this every Tuesday night at 7:30 Pacific, except when we don't. And I think we're off next week. No, we're on next week. We're off the week after. So we'll be back next week to cover more local derpiness. In the meantime, get your vax. Make sure you wear a mask where it's appropriate. You don't have to wear pants. It's totally optional. We're going to leave you with some audible smoke, and we wish you the very best for the rest of this evening. Stay tuned for public comment, looking at the Oakland mayoral race and recent debate. And producer Dave, hope you have a great week. Peace out.
Time to get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing green. Here at the front of the stage waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, like the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink. Spark it if you got it and then pass it to me, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course, shouldn't you be inside? I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rockin' me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jockin' me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily. We do what we want, what we wanna do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want, what we wanna do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Molly say that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yeah, we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what So sit